or what have you. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep going, and then I'll read your responses as they come. The second thing I want to share is that life should not be lived alone. Another way of saying it is you don't have to do life on your own. Now, this became very profound to me in the past year when a few people in my life who did not know each other were telling me the same thing, that Franca, you don't have to do life on your own. They were saying the same words, and at some point I had to take a step back and think about why people were saying that specific thing to me all the time. Now, I found out that for myself and for you, listening to me, most likely you are a woman trying to build your career, building your family, living your best life. And somehow we get into this trap where we think that we have to do everything by ourselves, right? I think it's unspoken that once you become an adult, you have to handle things. You should know how to balance things. You should not let people see that you are weak. You shouldn't, don't be caught slacking. You should always be on point. But you and I know that as things progress and things become increasingly busier, sometimes you need to ask people to help you. Recently, I was in a coaching session and I mentioned to the lady that, why don't you ask some of your friends to help you with this? And she said, I never thought about it. She has never considered the possibility that she could ask someone for a favor. Can you help me with this? And I think that when we do that, we allow ourselves to suffer unnecessarily. Because sometimes you would find that if you just ask for help, a lot of people around you are willing to help you. But then they don't see any way of coming in to help you if you have not asked them to help you. And so I'm speaking to today's woman who sometimes thinks that she has to be a master of everything, that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay. You don't have to explain why you are asking for help. Just ask for help. Of course, it's not everybody that you can go to and ask for help. But the key point here is that just ask. I always say that when you ask, the worst that can happen is that the person will say no. And to the best of my knowledge, no does not kill people. No hasn't killed anybody. And so when you ask and the answer is no, at least you know that you asked and the answer is no. But what if the answer was yes and the person you're asking was willing to help? And so my lesson number 2, or the second thing I want us to reflect on this afternoon, is that life is not meant to be lived alone. We have communities for a reason. And so use the community, leverage the community you have by asking for help. Another way to look at it is that when you ask for help, it does not make you weak. It doesn't make you less than. Because sometimes I think that the reason why, and I speak for myself here, the reason why sometimes I don't ask for help is because I think the person will think, why can't you, this small thing too, can't you do it? But sometimes the amount of time that you will spend doing something that you are not great at compared to the amount of time somebody who is good at that thing is going to use to do it. Save yourself the time and just ask for help. Of course, you appreciate the help when it comes. You let the person know you appreciate them and all that, but don't suffer alone. Life should not be lived alone. All right, so I'm going to move on to my third reflection. This is an interesting one. Femininity is a superpower. Femininity is a superpower. The last time I shared this, I said that I'm not talking about being a feminist. I'm talking about moving feminine. And they are two very different things. When I talk about femininity, I'm talking about your way of being as a woman. I'm talking about your aura as a woman, whether you're a corporate woman or whatever kind of woman you are, right? Your femininity is a superpower. And you have to use it, It's a strength, it's not a weakness. Again, I think that when we talk about anything feminine, I think that the general perception is that it is something about being weak and helpless. You know, this idea of a damsel in distress, right? And so you feel like once you are called or referred to as feminine, they are inadvertently saying that you are weak, you can't help yourself. And so we all run away from that feminine vibe. But then I want to encourage you that if you're a woman listening to me this year, tap into your feminine. The part of you that makes you exhibit strength, quiet strength, not loud, feisty or angry or anything like that, but the kind of strength that gets results. I feel like the older women knew how to use their femininity. They knew how to maximize on that to get things done. And so you would think that they are just behind, they are not speaking or anything, but they were getting the results, And so I want to encourage all of us, myself included, that we should step into our femininity a lot more and recognize it as a superpower, not as something that is meant to make us weak or make us pushovers or walkovers or whatever it is, but as a superpower. A couple of years ago, I call it a social experiment, where I was doing a project at work and I started taking out proposals to different companies myself. I didn't send any of my employees at that time to do it. I did it myself. And I found out that people were reacting to me based on how I was looking. It was a very interesting social experiment. If I showed up in jeans, people would react to me differently. If I showed up looking extremely feminine, bows and frills and everything, people reacted differently. There was a particular office where I went to where the manager himself got up from his seat and was addressing me as if, I am some kind of like a big shot or something. And he hadn't heard me yet. It was purely because of how I looked, And these are things that you don't ask for, right? It's just your way, like I said, your way of being. How you present yourself is how you're going to be accepted. That is also how you're going to be treated. Recently, I was talking to my boss. I don't know if he remembers this. It's very recent. And he passed a comment that cemented this for me. He said that if you come at us like a man, we'll treat you as a man. Right? And sometimes I think that in our bid as women to be heard, we show up in our masculine energy. And then we turn around and act surprised when we are being treated like men. Right? We are different for a reason. So capitalize on your difference, your uniqueness as a woman. Show your feminine. Like I said, feminine is not weak at all. And once you do that, you realize that you will be treated differently and you will still get the results you are looking for. All right, I think I've beat this horse. So I'm going to move on. But before that, I'm going to read a comment from Frank. Frank Diabo, Happy New Year. He says, my girl broke down to me yesterday after I called her on her behavior of being rude to me whenever she's having a bad day, when I can be a safe space for her. All this attitude was made to accept that she has to go through issues by herself for a long time before meeting me. Okay, so Frank, when you say my girl, you mean your daughter or your partner? Either way, I think the message is very clear, right? The fact that she feels like she has to deal with things without talking to you, when you, on the other hand, feel like you are a safe space and she should have come to you a long time ago. I think we all agree, right? This speaks to both issues, Frank, that life should not be lived alone, and then using your femininity as a superpower as well. Thanks for the comment. All right, moving right along, I would say don't believe everything you hear because people can lie. Don't believe everything you hear because people can lie. Now, last year I will call it an unpleasant experience, where somebody was trying to discredit another person to me. I think we have all had an experience like that, where somebody's telling you about somebody you've not met yet, and they are vilifying the person so bad, you don't even want to meet the person. Now you don't want to meet the person at all, right? And I did a little bit of digging and I found out that all that the person had said was not true. Up till now, I'm wondering why she would do that. Why you would say something about somebody that's not true, right? Somebody you don't know, why you would do that to the person. But the point here is not about what she did, right? The point here is that let's try and investigate things we hear, especially about people we don't know. It's always very easy to appreciate this point when you are the one being spoken about. If somebody tells another person about you, and you know that what they are saying is not true, you've never done whatever they said you did, it's very painful. But we should also put ourselves in other people's shoes when it's being done to other people. So what I'm trying to say is, don't jump to a conclusion because of something you heard about someone and say that, because they said Frimpong is like that, then it's true he's like that, when you haven't met Frimpong. Get to meet the person. Allow people to show you who they are. I tell my children all the time, before you get to a class, don't listen to what they said the teacher is like, because it's going to color everything the teacher does. Once you hear that the teacher is wicked and he's mean and he's whatever, everything he does, you're going to see it in that lens. And I think for us as adults too, this applies. You might be going to a particular organization to work and you've heard that, the GM is like this. And so you go and you show a certain attitude because in your mind, the GM is like that. So you are meeting him or her boot for boot. Meanwhile, the person has done nothing to you. I want to encourage us that this year, let's limit, this attitude. Get to know people for who they are. Yes, of course, some of the things people say are true. But imagine not having a chance to defend yourself. Imagine not having a chance to give a real first impression because something has been said about you that's not even true at all. Right? Okay, on Facebook, Kwesi Bafojima, Dr. Jima is joining. He says, great first show, top notch. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining and for listening to the show this afternoon. So if you're listening to us, you're on Orange 107.9 FM. I say that because sometimes when people are driving, they keep changing, right? And so you don't know where you are. I have had that experience where I was like, this person should just tell me what station am I listening to, right? You're on Orange 107.9 FM. And this is the Women Lately show where we talk all things today's woman. And today I'm here, I'm not going to say here alone. I'm here with Frimpong in the studio supporting me while I share my reflections on 2023. Of course, I don't know it all. So if you want to share your lessons, your reflections of the previous year, you can do that on Facebook, Orange 107.9. And then you can send us a WhatsApp message on 0548 501 584. Like I said, if you watch the Women Lately show by now, you should have saved this WhatsApp number so that when I say WhatsApp, as you know where to send your message. But anyway, let's carry on. The next thing I want to talk about is that your biggest blessing can come in the form of a relationship you are refusing to build. Your biggest blessing can come in the form of a relationship you are refusing to build. Sometimes we maybe assume that our blessings are going to come from particular places. Maybe somebody who has helped you before or somebody who you think is going to help you. So you overlook the people who are around you willing to help, and then you look at that person, that uncle or that boss or that rich friend or whatever, and you think that that's the person who is going to help you. You never know, really, you never know. I've shared so many stories where my children have said things to me that has given me an idea that I had never thought of. One of our guests, I think last season or 2 seasons ago, one of our guests had mentioned the fact that he was in a very low place in his life, and one of his children walked up to him and told him, "You're a very good man." And that's what he needed to hear at that time. And so sometimes what we call blessings or the things that we are looking for, God puts them in places where we least expect. Now, if you want relationships to support you, you have to build those relationships. In the past year, I had a lot of business from somebody that I did not know very much at that time. And I keep asking myself, if I had not built that relationship, what would have happened? Because I had no idea that there would be business coming out of the relationship. I hope I'm expressing myself clearly, right? And so that made me very intentional. Like, look, you can't know where all your blessings are going to come from. You can't know where all your opportunities are going to come from. And so invest in relationships across the board. Whoever the person is, however you met the person, you don't wait till you need someone before you try reaching out to them, because most people get offended at that point. But once you have someone in your network, or you've been introduced to someone, or you have an acquaintance with someone, you build that relationship. And of course, you're not building the relationship because you want to get something out of it at the end of the day. You don't know, like I said, you do not know where your biggest blessing will come from. But in the event that's going to come in the form of relationship, I hope that by that time, you would have built that relationship to a point where you can reap from it. It's just like going to the bank. You have no money in the bank, and you've gone to take your savings withdrawal book or whatever you use, and you are going to withdraw money from which account? There's no money in the account. And so if you want to make withdrawals from relationships, invest in them, because your biggest blessing might be coming from that relationship you're refusing to build. Meritus Nana Kwame Labi on Facebook, he says, just joined from UK, and whatever you said is true. But I always want to meet the person before I believe anything said. I remember going to work in a department and they said a whole lot of bad stuff. They said a whole lot of bad stuff, but I never gave up. And eventually this person became a best friend to me, taking me out for lunch, etc. Great show. Thank you, Meritus, for joining. And I am happy that you're on the other end of that equation. You know, you allowed yourself to meet whoever this person is and they've become your friend. It happens to us all the time. Hopefully all of us make such decisions, you know, this year and moving forward. Thanks for joining. This is the Women Lately show on Orange 107.9 FM. My next reflection before I take a break is you don't know what you don't know. Now, this was a bit funny to me when I was writing it myself, because I tend to be the kind of person who is always trying to figure things out myself. You know, everything, I want to figure it out myself. And sometimes it takes so long, so unnecessarily long, that I ask myself, why do you wait so long to do stuff, right? At a point, I've accepted that that's part of my personality. Maybe not all good all the time, but that's, you know, how I tend to be most of the time. But in this lesson, I learned that it's easier for you to let people shine in their zone of genius. Let people do what they do best, while you also do what you do best. It's good to learn, no two ways about that. However, sometimes the learning time takes so long and you would have lost so much ground just trying to figure it out and be Superman or Superwoman, right? At this point, I know there are men listening as well. You don't know what you don't know, so ask. Ask for counsel, ask for advice, ask for therapy, ask for coaching, ask for training, ask for anything that is going to help you move quicker to your next step. There was a point in my life where even my website, I wanted to do it myself. And I did. I did. But then I look back and I compared that to what a professional did. And I realized that I spent way too much time creating something that did not come out A+, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so if you're listening to me and maybe you are employed, you need to learn something from a superior, or even sometimes somebody who's below you, just ask, learn. You don't know what you don't know. Don't try and figure out everything. Save yourself some of that learning time. Someone said that average people learn from their experiences, but excellent people learn from other people's experiences. So you don't always have to have the experience firsthand. You can learn from other people and shorten the learning curve for yourself so that you can be more productive. At this point, I'm going to go on break, and I'll join you back shortly.
I will always love you how I do. Echo of a prayer for you, just a sweet word. The table is prepared for you. Wishing you Godspeed, glory. There will be mountains you won't move. Still, I'll always be there for you. How I do. I let go of my claim on you. It's a free world. You look down on where you came from. Sometimes still you will have this place to call home. Always when I see you I'll say glory, 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 glory. Glory, 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 glory. It'll never get old, not in my soul, not in my spirit, keep it alive. We'll go down this road till it turns from color to black and white. A tornado flew around my room before you came. Excuse the mess it made. It usually doesn't rain in Southern California, much like Arizona. My eyes don't shed tears, but boy, they ball when I'm thinking about you. You know, no, I've been thinking about you. You know, no, I've been thinking about you. Do you think about me still? Do ya? Or do you not think so far ahead? 'Cause I've been thinking about forever. Whoa. Or do you not think so far ahead? 'Cause I've been thinking about forever. Whoa. No, I don't like you, I just thought you were cool enough to kick it. Got a beach house I can sell you in Idaho. Since you think I don't love you, I just thought you were cute enough to kick it. Got a fighter jet I don't get to fly, yet though I'm lying down thinking about you. You know, no, I've been thinking about you. You know, no, I've been thinking about you. Do you think about me still? Do you? Or do you not think so far ahead? 'Cause I've been thinking about forever. Oh. Or do you not think so far ahead?
You're welcome back from the break. This is Orange 107.9 FM. You're live on the Women Lately show, where we have conversations worth having about women. Now, today on the show, I've been sharing my reflections on 2023, the year that just ended. I don't even know whether I can call it just ended at this point. But I invite you to share your learnings as well. If you're listening to me, you can do that on WhatsApp. The number to do that on is 0548501584, 0548501584. And also you can share your thoughts and your comments or even your questions on Facebook, Orange 107.9. So I think I shared about 6 of my learnings so far. I'm going to carry on. And the 7th is that not everything is about you. Not everything is about you. I think that a lot of us, make things about us. Yesterday, I was listening to somebody, I think on Instagram Live, and she said that, actually it was on YouTube, and she said that, sometimes when you call someone and they don't pick up, right? From I don't know if you do this. Maybe you are different, but women, we do it a lot. You assume that the person actually saw the phone ring and they decided not to answer. Or if you send someone a WhatsApp message and it shows those blue ticks, you know that the person read it. But you don't understand why the person didn't respond in the moment when they read it. And we make a big deal out of it. But I want to encourage us that let's move more towards not making things about us. It's going to give you a lot of peace of mind. Now, at this point, I tend to take what people tell me directly, and I do not make assumptions. So if I call you and you don't pick up, I will not make the assumption that you are there doing nothing and you just decided not to pick the call, right? If I send you a WhatsApp message and you don't respond in the moment, and I see, the Gen Z people say you blue ticked me, right? I'm going to take it that you are not in a position to answer, and I do that myself. For example, if I'm driving and a message comes through, I can click on the message. I probably will not read it because I'm driving, right? But it will show on your end that I have blue ticked you. But it's not intentional at all. Even in business, sometimes small business owners do this. They send a message to a potential client, and once the person does not respond in the moment, they assume that, maybe I'm bugging them, I'm bothering them, I don't want to bother them, so I'm not going to send them a message. If I tell you the number of times when I wished that a business I had contacted would get back to me, because I've forgotten the name, especially these Instagram names and all that. I've forgotten the name of the business. I didn't save any posts from them, nothing. And I really want to reach out to the business. But maybe the business one on the other end thinks that they are bothering me, so they won't get back to me. Not everything is about you. If somebody hasn't directly said something to you, that Franca, I don't like how you did A, B, and C. I think next time you should do this. Or somebody hasn't said anything directly that I have an issue with you based on this. I suggest that you don't make things about you. The truth is that many people are going through a lot these days. And so the fact that somebody saw you and they didn't smile at you, it has nothing to do with you. Most of the time, it has nothing. You're like the last person on their mind, right? So I encourage us to be very positive. Look at people from a positive lens. Oh, she didn't greet me today. Maybe she's not having a good day. And then you move on. But when we get to a point where we make everything about us, okay, she saw me, she didn't greet me. That was the same thing this other person did yesterday. I think these people have ganged up against me, and you start building things in your head. only for you to find out that it was all in your head and none of it was true. The stress and all the things that come with it are pointless. Not everything is about you. I remember the last time I was speaking about this, and when I said it, somebody sent me a text and said, Franca, sometimes some of the things are about us. Yes, I agree. But it's not everything that's about you, right? And so take things as they are and move on. And trust that if somebody really has an issue with you, they will come to you. All right, moving on. Your friendship is only as strong as your friend thinks it is. Your friendship is only as strong as your friend thinks it is. I learned this one the hard way. And to be honest, if I'm being honest with myself, I think I'm still hurting from that thing. From is laughing. You know when you feel like somebody is your, in gay, we used to say conctus titus, like you and the person are so close, right? You share everything about you with this person, and you are assuming that the other person is also sharing everything with you, only for you to find that you know next to nothing about them, right? So for women, you might have a friend where I heard a woman say once that, oh, she told her friend about her pregnancies and everything, but her friend was pregnant for like 6 months and she never heard, about it. And she was hurt by that. I share a story where somebody that I knew, or at this point, let me say, I thought we were very good friends, had a major life event, and I found out through social media, right? This is somebody that I considered very close, and that's what I said. I probably am still hurting from that, because I feel like, how am I going to find out something major, right? It's not even a personal thing. It was a major event, and I found out, on social media. And I realized that maybe at this point, the person did not see me or my friendship the same way I was looking at it from my end. There's nothing wrong with that. I always say that these things just give you information. Then you decide what to do with that information, right? There's no point going to confront you and say that, why didn't you tell me? No, if she wanted to tell me, she would have. But in her decision not to tell me, it also gives me information. So next time, are you going to put all your business out there with this person? Because clearly the person does not see you as you see them. There is nothing wrong with that. Like I said, people choose what to share, and everybody has a right to that. But you have to make your decisions based on what people show you, like I talked about initially. The next thing is that, and this one was so profound for me, is that people often hold to the version of you that they feel superior to. People often hold to the version of you that they feel superior to. And as long as you allow them, they are going to treat you the way they see you. If you allow yourself to be put in some type of box, right, where people feel superior to you, and because of that, they can treat you anyhow, with no resistance from you, you never confront issues, you never address it, you don't do anything, you just complain. And usually we complain to other people, not to the person who is doing the for lack of a better word, the bad treatment, right? When you assess your relationships, when you assess your friendships, you will realize that in some of those relationships and friendships, you've allowed your friends and the people you're in a relationship with to assume a certain imagination of who you are. For example, if somebody feels like they can call you at any time and you will stop everything you are doing to do what they're asking you to do. So you have the things you want to do for the day. This particular friend calls you and says, you know what, Franca, I want us to go to Accra this morning. Let's do a return trip right now. And you stop everything you are doing and go with the person. Guess what? The next time they have an emergency trip to Cape Coast, you are coming along. Because that is the version of you that this person feels superior to, and they're going to milk it dry. And so sometimes we have to evaluate, in fact, all the time, we have to evaluate the relationships we carry. Whether they are business relationships or family relationships or relationships in marriages or whatever, people they hold to the version of you that they feel superior to. Most of the time, if you want to change that version of you, you are going to lose the relationship, because then the person doesn't know who this new person is. Like, every time I tell you, let's go to Accra, you come with me. Why is it that now you are complaining? Like, what has changed, right? I have had this happen to me. I've seen it happen to other people so many times. And so make sure that you are the one controlling the narrative of how you want to be seen in every relationship. Sometimes people say that, oh, when I close, my boss always gives me work. Well, what did you say when they gave you work? You accepted it. You did it. And you're complaining at home or to whoever will listen. And your boss has no idea that you didn't appreciate that. People often hold to the version of you that they feel superior to. If somebody is treating you a way that you don't appreciate, it's probably because of how you are presenting yourself to them and how they see you. And if you want that to change, you're going to have to be the one to change it. As long as they're benefiting from you, trust me, they're not going to change how they treat you. They have no reason to change, right? Nana Bedubons Jr. on Facebook, he says, very great show. Nana, it's a new year, so maybe we have to change. We have to change what you write on the show every day. But thanks for joining the Women Lately show today. The next thing I'm going to be sharing is, we've all heard the statement that blood is thicker than water. I think it's not even about hearing. I think we've all used it at some point. Oh, that's why they say blood is thicker than water. So last year, I don't even know what happened. I decided to find out that, what is that statement and who made it? Only for me to find out that the whole time we were saying blood is thicker than water, the real statement is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And this was said by Sir Walter Scott, right? I think that some of the things, while we repeat them so often, they tend to sort of change. And so the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb is what we now call blood is thicker than water. And guess what? This statement, blood is thicker than water, has led to a lot of abuse in families because, well, even if they abuse you, Charlie, blood is thicker than water. And so you just keep quiet and endure the abuse because they are family and there's nothing you can do about it. In a way, there's nothing you can do about it because they are family. However, you can change your positioning. What this statement means is that chosen bonds are more significant than the bonds with family, which is the water of the womb, right? And so the fact that you are from the same family with someone does not necessarily grant them 100% access into all areas of your life. Sometimes abuse that we suffer comes from our family members. I'm talking about people that we share the same blood with, right? Some of them can be very abusive. And we keep telling ourselves that, well, because they are my mother or because they are my father, because they are my sister and brother, there's nothing I can do about it. And we just endure abuse in the name of blood is thicker than water. I hope that this is relieving to someone, that the truth is that the blood of the covenant, that is the relationship you choose to form, is thicker than the water of the womb or the relationship that you were born into. I tell my coaching clients all the time that you choose your friends. You do not choose your family, right? And so as much as you cannot choose who your brother or your sister is, you can choose whether to make them your friend or not. You can never run away from the fact that you were born in the same family. Some people say born from the same womb. Yes, you can't change that. But you can change how you relate to those people. You can change the amount of access they have into your life. You can change how much information you give them about what's going on with you and with the things around you. Nana says, fantastic, great show. So very great show and fantastic, great show is the same thing. Please change it. Now, the next few things I'm going to be sharing with you are about business. I think that a lot of us can relate to these things because at this point, I think that all of us women have some side business regardless, right? Whether we are employed or whatever, we always have some sort of side business, right? And what I want to share in relation to that is that record keeping will change your life. Keeping records, it will save your life. I had an experience where somebody was trying to bill me for something I didn't owe. And the only thing that saved me was the records I had kept. And these were records from years ago. I'm talking years, like almost 10 years ago. I am kind of a hoarder of information because I always have it in mind that what if I throw this document away and I need it? And that's exactly what happened. Now, this person had lost his part of, the agreement, and I had kept mine. And so he saw his part of the agreement in his signature, and that's the only thing that saved me. So in every business, record keeping will save your life. I dare say in other areas of life, but in this case, I'm talking about business. Keep your records, right? If you are not sure that you will need it, don't trash it, because once it's gone, it's gone. And these days, we are blessed to have, PDF, what do you call them? We all have it on our phones, right? You can scan something. Spreadsheet. Not spreadsheet, I know that one. Someone's trying to deceive me. You can actually use your phone to scan, a document, and then you can trash the document if you don't like paper clutter and all that. But don't throw those things away, because at the end of the day, and then save it in the cloud, right? Because at the end of the day, that might be the thing that saves you. This guy was going to bill me thousands of CDs for something I didn't owe. And by the time I was done talking to him, he owed me. That's the sad part. And I was so grateful that I kept those documents all those years. It has to do with every other thing with respect to business, from the GRA to those people who come for the KMA, what do you call it? I've forgotten what they call it. Business operating permit, that's what they call it. And all those things, keep them, because you never know when you will need them. I'm going to take this comment from WhatsApp. I don't know who. Okay. The person says, good afternoon, Franca. On the issue of abuse from family, Mom always abused me so many times verbally that I have a very big and ugly head, and I looked very ugly. Till date, I still don't believe it when people say I look beautiful. That makes me sad, honestly. Because you said mom, right? It's easier when you hear it from somebody who's not that close to you. But then if it's from mom, then it might be difficult to deal with. However, I would encourage you that you can still work on it. You can still work on how you see yourself. Because remember that most of the time people see you through the lens through which you see yourself, right? If you have to say to yourself every day that I don't know what your name is. Let's say Abena. Say I'm Abena and I'm beautiful. My name is Abena and I'm beautiful. And you have to say it so many times to yourself, then do that, right? At the beginning, it's going to look like you are crazy talking to yourself in the mirror. But over time, you hearing it in your own voice, you're going to start believing yourself. From says self-love, yes. Gen Z people's language. When I was younger, I also had things said about me. I've dealt with all those things, so I know that it's possible to deal with it. And I want you to know that what your mom said is not the truth. Sometimes we mothers say things out of anger, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that we mean it, but African mothers don't apologize. That's the other side of it. But I just want to encourage you, work on yourself. You said you don't believe it when people say you look beautiful. So which actually means that people compliment you. You are beautiful. Say that to yourself until you believe it. That is self-work. That is something that you have to give to yourself until you get to a point where no matter what somebody says about you, it runs off your back like water off a duck's back. So nobody can tell me that I'm not beautiful. And I know that I may not be the most beautiful person in the world, but to me, I'm the most beautiful person. And you can argue with whoever you want to argue with. So do that work on you till you get to a point where you believe it. Okay? I hope that helps. All right. I am going to tell you the next thing about business. Stick to your customer avatar or your target market. when you start a business, right? If you have a hair care business or hair extension business, I am not your target. I don't have hair. Like my boy said, "But mom, you don't have hair." Yes, I don't have hair. I keep short hair and I love it. I'm not going to buy hair extension, at least for now, as I speak. I don't want, a few years down the line, if I have my extension, somebody will go and pull up this video and say, "Hey, you said you never do hair extension." I didn't say never. But at this point, while I'm speaking, I don't want to do hair extensions. And so if you are targeting me in your marketing, you will never get me. I'm not your target market. Now, sometimes in our zeal to try and attract everybody, we end up attracting nobody, right? And in the last year, I had that experience myself, and it was an unpleasant one, where I went beyond the people I said I was going to serve in my business, and I was trying to make my business open to all. And it was a terrible experience. It was a stressful experience for me. I had to explain myself so many times. I had to bend over backwards for this person who was not my ideal client. The issue of ideal client does not mean that you are being choosy or whatever. But really, there is no business that can serve everybody. Somebody might buy from Frimpong because he's a man. Somebody might buy from me because, I want to support a woman's business, right? Or somebody might buy from me because, I like women with short hair. Now, that's a comment these days I hear a lot. I like women with short hair. I'm like, okay, since when did that want to become a thing, right? So somebody might see me and another person with long hair and say that, okay, I'm going to buy from her because she has short hair. It doesn't matter. Even with something as universal as water, there are different types of water. There's sparkling water, there's still water, sachet water, types of bottled water, right? There's flavored water. There are so many types. And so if you position yourself as a business to try to cater to the needs of everybody, you will stress yourself as a business owner. And the irony of this whole thing is that the people who pay the least will give you the most stress. If somebody pays you a lot of money, usually they have searched you out. They've done their homework before they spend that money. They know what they are getting into. But the people who come to you and say that, okay, maybe this product is 1,000 cedis, I will pay 200. They are not your target market. There's a market, a huge market for them. But you are not the one to serve them. Save yourself. Because even if you give it to them at 500, they won't appreciate it. They want it for 200. How are you going to cut your production cost and everything and give it to them at 200? Unless you are going to give it to them for free and know that, I did something for free. If you're in business, please don't try to serve everybody. Stick to the person you decided to serve. It makes you even more innovative in trying to find solutions for this one person that you're trying to serve, instead of trying to solve everybody's problems. This is how we build businesses, and then the businesses take over our lives because we are running all over the place trying to attract everybody and create something for everybody. It doesn't work. And so I hope that if you listen to this portion of the show and you're a business owner, you're going to add it to your repertoire of business lessons. Okay. Nana is back. He says, amazingly great show. Okay, I give up. It's okay. Whatever you write, we'll take it. All right. I hope that if you're listening to me on Orange 107.9, you're learning a thing or two. I would have actually appreciated if you shared your lessons from the previous year as well. I feel like we can all learn from, other people. And so if you're watching me, engaging with me on WhatsApp or Facebook, type your lessons that you took from the previous year so that I can read it out and somebody might take a thing or two from it. All right, the next thing I'm going to share is that you can ask God for a blessing, but you have no control over how or through whom the blessing will come. You can ask God for a blessing, but you have no control over how or through whom the blessing will come. There is I don't know whether I should call it a trend, but, especially in Christian circles, people say destiny helper. destiny helper. Once they say destiny helper, people start thinking of particular people, right? So somebody like Despite, everybody wants Despite to be their destiny helper. He's probably not your destiny helper. There is somebody else that God will bring your path together and the person can help you. If you are asking God for any sort of open door, blessing, opportunity, or whatever, you have no control over how or through whom the blessing will come. Now, this particular point is the reason why you don't treat people anyhow, because you do not know where your next blessing is going to come. I know people who have had opportunities by speaking with taxi drivers. Just, I'm even coming from this place, and the driver is like, but I know this person, and before you know it, this huge contract, this huge opportunity has come up from something that you never expected, because in your head or in your mind, you are going for some business meeting and that's where the opportunity is going to come. But it came through a taxi driver. It can come through your house help or your domestic manager, they call them these days, right? There's a story in the Bible where someone was asked to go and wash his leprosy in a river. Who told him? His help, right? And so when we ask for a blessing, how it's going to happen is not part of your job. Yours is to ask and see where the opening is going to come from. See where the opportunity is going to come from. There are some times that my children can actually give me a business idea. Mommy, how about this? And it's something I've been thinking about for so long, and I never thought about it their way, right? And so when we ask for a blessing, let's leave the how and the conduit of the blessing, let's leave that to God, right? Michael Quinn, who says, I am loving the program. Michael, thanks for joining the Women Lately show. Typically, it's the men who enjoy the monologues most. In the past, that's what always happens. But thanks for joining the Women Lately show. I'm sharing my reflections on the year 2023. And if you also have something to share, you can post it in the comments so that I read it out for other people to learn as well. The next thing I'm going to say is that practice extreme gratitude. Not practice gratitude, but practice extreme gratitude. One of the first lessons you will learn when you get into adulthood is that nobody owes you anything, right? You move from a place where what you will eat, what you will wear, the books you will read, everything is provided for you. And you move to a place where, like, nobody cares, literally. You have to do it yourself, basically, right? And so if somebody goes out of their way to bless you somehow, even to call you, I'm just calling to check on you. Be grateful for that. I just thought of you. I know you like, I have a friend who will always bring me tea or coffee when she travels because she knows that that's my thing, right? And no matter where she goes in the world, she will make sure she brings me tea from that place. And I truly appreciate it because somebody has to be thinking about you to do that, right? If she forgot about me when she travels, she would not remember to buy me the tea or the coffee or whatever. But the point is that if somebody goes out of their way to do something nice for you, practice extreme gratitude because nobody owes you anything. If anybody gives you anything, they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart because they want to, not because they have to. I think that these days we have a lot of people who feel very entitled to other people's stuff. Like, he has a lot of money. I don't even know why he's not doing this for me. It's not your money. So you have no business thinking about how best the person should spend his or her money. Is it your money? It's not your money. You know, I hear people say that, my uncle is very rich. He can even rent a whole house for me and he wants me to stay in one room. No. If he rents a whole house for you, it's out of the goodness of his heart. So if he's rented one room for you, guess what? Practice extreme gratitude. Now, what I discovered was that the more grateful I became, the more people did things for me that I never asked for, right? Because I think that everybody is turned on by a grateful spirit. And so if you show up as a grateful person, people want to do things for you just because they know that you will appreciate it, right? If you do not have the mindset that somebody owes you something, if they give you something little, you'll be grateful. But the reason why somebody would give somebody something, the person can pass a comment like, that's all they gave me. They just bought me 100 cedis credit. It's because you think that you deserve more. And so you're upset that they gave you so little. But if you think that nobody owes me anything, and out of the blue, somebody sends you credits, guess what? You're going to be grateful. I'm saying credits because I want to go to the minutest of things, right? The minutest of things. I have a lady she will just think, oh, I remember Franca said she was going to do like a detox or something, and then she would just go and buy fruits and veggies and what. I never asked her for it. But I was so grateful because, like, why would she go out of her way to do all those things for me, right? I know that if you're listening to me, you also have people who do nice things for you when you don't ask them. Don't make it a thing that, oh, because this person is kind to me, they always have to be kind to me. No. As many times as somebody is kind to you, always practice extreme gratitude, realizing that the person owes you nothing. And if they did anything for you, it was out of the goodness of their heart. I'm going to go on another quick break, and then when I return, I will round up because it's almost time. Surprisingly, it's almost time. But I hope that while listening to the show today, you have learned one or two things that you can also add to the things that you know and the things that you're going to practice this year. Let's take a quick break.
It's not a silly little moment. It's not the calm before the storm. This is a deep and dying breath of this love that we've been working on. Can't seem to hold you like I want to, so I can feel you in my arms. Nobody's gonna come and save us. We pull too many false alarms. We're going down, and you can see it too. We're going down, and you know that we're doomed, my dear. We're slow dancing in a burning room. I was the one you always dreamed of. You were the one I tried to draw. How dare you say there's nothing to me? Baby, you're the only light I ever saw. I make the most of all the sadness. You be a bitch because you can. You tried to hit me just to hurt me, so you leave me feeling dirty, and you can't understand. We're going down, and you can see it too. We're going down, and you know that we're doomed, my dear. We're slow dancing in a burning room. Go cry about it, why don't you? Oh, go cry about it, why don't you? Oh, go cry about it, why don't you? My dear, we're so dancing in a burning room. My dear, we're slow dancing in the... Don't you think we ought to know it by now? Don't you think we ought to learn somehow? Don't you think we ought to know it by now? Don't you think we ought to learn somehow? Don't you think we ought to know it by now? Don't you think we ought to learn somehow? My dear, we're slow dancing in the burning room.
You're welcome back from the break. This is Orange 107.9 FM. And for the past about 1 hour, I have been talking about my 2023 reflections here on the Women Lately show. And as I round up, I'm going to take you through the things I shared and then answer a question that has come in. So I said that, one, do not bleed on those who did not cut you. The next thing was life should not be lived alone, or you don't have to do life on your own. The third thing I shared was that femininity is a superpower, and I'm going to come back to this. Next, I shared that you don't believe everything you hear because people can lie. The next thing is that your biggest blessing can come in the form of a relationship you're refusing to build. Also, you do not know what you don't know, so allow people to exhibit their expertise while you do yours. The next thing is that not everything is about you. Your friendship is only as strong as your friend thinks it is. Next, people often hold to the version of you that they feel superior to. I also shared that the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, and therefore your chosen bonds are more significant than the bonds with family or the water of the womb. The next lessons I shared were on business, where I said that record keeping can and will save your life. Also, stick to your customer avatars, stick to your target market. The customers who pay you the least will cause you the most problems. I also shared that you can ask God for a blessing, but you have no control over how or through whom the blessing will come. And the final thing I shared before we took the break was that practice extreme gratitude. And I think I should add that nobody owes you anything. So practice extreme gratitude. I have a few comments coming in on Facebook. Let me share them. Nana says, Fanta Brutal Show. I said I give up. Now Amoko Ahmad Tefio says, enjoying the show. Thanks for watching, Olive. Pastor Joseph Texan says, listening. Thank you, Pastor, for listening. And Meritus Nana Kwame Labi says, the show has melted me. Hey. That sounds good. And he says that I wish everyone would get the opportunity to be listening to it. Frimpong, did we stream on YouTube today? Yes. So the replay will be on YouTube. Okay. So Meritus, you can go on YouTube to Orange 107.9 FM on YouTube, and the replay of this show will be on there. I think you can find it in the live section, right? You can't see it on the homepage, but on the live section, you'll see the replay of this show. But thanks, everyone, for watching and for commenting on the show. Now, in conclusion, a young lady asked, while I was talking about the femininity, she said that, how is she going to know the difference between being feminine and being a feminist? Because I had said that there's a difference between being feminine and being a feminist. I think that word trips people up a lot, and people are very sensitive to the word feminine because we might think that feminine means weak, or feminine means somebody's trying to abuse you. That's why they want you to come up with your feminine or whatever. But I'm going to share with you how you will know. I would just say that being a feminist is more of a socialist or a political thing, right? Where at a particular point in history, it was important that we bring out the fact that you should not maltreat women just because they are women, right? And so at the time, the fight was for full gender equality, right? in law and in practice, because I'm sure that if you're watching me, you know that at a point women couldn't drive, women couldn't vote, there were so many things, women couldn't work, there were so many things people could not do just because of their gender. As much as I respect that, what I'm talking about this afternoon is femininity. That is your aura as a woman, or your way of being as a woman. I think that when women go through a lot of stress, we take on masculine attributes because we feel like we have to do it ourselves, right? If the men are not coming through, then we have to do it ourselves. And a woman moving masculine can never be a man. You can only try, but you can never be a man, right? I'm going to take you through some of the qualities of feminine women, and then I will list masculine, so that if you are moving masculine, you will know. Now, there are strengths of the masculine gender. I think they own it very well. There are no insecurities around that. It's just that when we talk about the feminine, people feel insecure. So let's talk about some of the qualities of feminine women. One of the key things about women is women are very intuitive. Like, they sense things. Or I should say, I'm saying they like I'm not one. We sense things, right? Your mother can just look at you and tell you that, hey, you, this is what has happened. Meanwhile, to the best of your knowledge, you have said nothing to her, right? Women pick up things. You might be going into a business partnership and your wife or your partner will tell you that, I don't trust this guy. Meanwhile, she has never seen the guy, but she just senses it. That is intuition, right? Another feminine quality is emotion, right? Again, emotion is another place where we feel like emotion means weakness. It doesn't, right? It doesn't. There's a reason why we have emotions, and if you know how to use it, it's going to be to your benefit. Another one is grace, right? In how you behave and how you also offer grace to other people. Another thing is being creative. Women are creative naturally. Men can also be creative in their own way, but women are creative naturally. That's why sometimes people say that, oh, if you give a woman a house, she'll make a home out of it. Because a man needs a bed. That's it. Once he gets a place to lay his head, that's it. A woman is thinking about, no, I think we have to do the colors like this. We have to put flowers here. And before you know it, now this place becomes a place where you want to come to, right? Those are feminine qualities. Another feminine quality is being sensitive. We show that usually to our children, but we should extend it to other people. Another feminine quality is being warm, being cooperative, being empathetic, feeling for other people as if you were in their shoes. Another one is showing affection, right? Showing kindness, showing tenderness. These things do not make you weak at all, but these things allow you most of the time to get the best out of other people, not in a selfish way, right? But when things need to be done, sometimes they cannot be done in an aggressive way. You need to bring your feminine to the fore to get some of these things done. Now, masculine traits include taking action, being predictable, right? Willpower, being rational. And I think that there again, when people say men are rational, then the women are offended because that means you are irrational. It doesn't mean that. Men are rational, women are emotional. Both are strengths, right? Masculine traits include being protective. You know that men are very protective of their territory. They are very protective of their women, of their children, of their ego, of their business, of everything, right? Another one is problem solving. I've heard women complain that, oh, as for my husband, if you tell him a problem, he won't even listen, then he's trying to give you a solution. They are problem solvers, right? And so you have to know how to pull the problem solving out of him while staying in your feminine, right? Another is strength. Another masculine trait is being direct. Women can say things in a nice way and still get results. Men will just say it as it is, right? Both will get results, but there's a time for each of these attributes to show. Men are also very structured. I don't want to turn this whole show into a masculinity and femininity show, but I guess giving those examples helps you to understand what I meant when I said that there's strength in your femininity. So women watching me or listening to me, tap into that strength, right? Don't look at it as a weakness. Tap into that strength. and achieve all that you hope and want to achieve. At this point, I'm going to have to round up. I don't see any more comments on Facebook. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on episode 1 of season 5 of the Women Lately Show, Conversations Worth Having. We are back in your studio, God willing, next week. Next week is Val's Day. The men who are fighting with their partners just because they don't want to buy Val's Day gifts, please, I'm calling you out. We are going to solve all the issues before Val's Day come. But thanks for joining the show. I've enjoyed being here. Have a good afternoon. My name, as always, Francisca Taylor.
Hold on to me. I'm a little unsteady. A little unsteady. Mother, come here.